Week one of college football is officially in the books. Week one of the NFL season is just around the corner. And I am pumped for what this year has for us. Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk with Hawk. I am Hawk, and there is a buzz this week. Football starts back up. We are ready to get this party started. We are ready for some football. And I tell you what, the college weekend did not disappoint. Did not disappoint. Tomorrow, you will have my final predictions. I'm actually working on making all the graphics. I'm going to Um, try to make graphics for the entire thing. Not sure if I can get it into the podcast as it is a stale screen podcast, but I should be able to get the records. What I believe the records will be for each team in the podcast as far as the stale screen. So that will be tomorrow night. The final predictions that I have for the season, and I'll say it tomorrow, and I'm going to say it now. This is if we were in a perfect world and there were absolutely no injuries. That's obviously not going to happen. Things happen, but nonetheless, my final standings will be live tomorrow night before the game goes live in Kansas City. Welcome in on an absolutely beautiful Wednesday morning, and hope everybody had a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. I was at a family reunion in Michigan City myself, drove the bike up on a gorgeous 76-degree day. Had a beautiful time with family that I hadn't seen for a long time. Perfect day, came back home. Sunday, hung out with some friends around the fire pit. Monday, took the family canoeing. And by golly, it was a fantastic weekend. And here we go. Watched a little bit of football, all in between there. So we're gonna talk about the bigger games from the college football weekend. Give you a quick snapshot of what it looks like. Number one, we're gonna start out with a couple of surprises. Number one, Oregon almost lost. This was I don't know. The best I can figure, it was a brain fart for Oregon. Forgot to decide to come out and play football. Like, this is why I love week one, because weird things can happen. But this is also why you got to play every game. You have to play every game. Week number two has some potential upsets as well. You got to go play the game. So Oregon squeaks by with their win. Florida State, I don't know what's going on in Florida State. Boston College, their new head coach is Bill O'Brien, the former head coach for the Houston Texans, offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Bill O'Brien really has Boston College looking tough. You remember back Dennis Erickson from Miami, Dave Wanstad from Pittsburgh, Jim Mora Jr. for UCLA. There was something about those programs. You never wanted to play them. You never wanted to play them. They were always tough. Pete Carroll's Trojans, remember, the Trojans were after his stints in the NFL. The NFL gives coaches the ability to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more refined. the technical things matter more to those coaches. They may not have the best star power, but they're well coached, team players, a unified effort on the field. Boston College had that on the road in Tallahassee, Florida, and absolutely dominated Florida State on Monday night. To me, that was a big win for Boston College, just as much as it was a horrible loss for Florida State, who is now 0-2 and staring down the reality of the first year of an expanded playoff, and they have no shot to get in. So those were a couple disappointments. The games that really mattered, Miami and Florida. Florida could be a 3 or 4 win team. It's more the brand than the team right now. I think the coach is going to get fired. They haven't gotten the coach right for a while, and that's unfortunate. I mean, ask Michigan. You don't have the coach right. You can go through years and years and years of mediocrity just trying to find the next right guy. And then the NCAA screws him up and makes him leave, and now you just hope the assistant and the intern can do what he needs to do. You know, it's where we're at, unfortunately. But Miami absolutely dominated. Florida looked fantastic in the swamp on the road. But the two games I want to focus on, the two primary games. Number one, Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I believe we're going to go 12-0. I believe we'll be the number 5 seed in the college football playoff. That is the highest that they can get because the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all reserved. The byes are reserved for the 4 conference champions. Okay? So number 5 is the highest they can be. I 100% believe they will be there. 100%. The way they played Texas A&M, the way they beat them, that's what was impressive. Notre Dame's defense, I am not kidding. Notre Dame's defense is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. 102 yards, I believe, passing by Texas A&M. So, somewhere around there. They dominated the line of scrimmage. They dominated the receivers on the road in College Station, which has been a rough place for Georgia, Alabama, LSU. It's a rough place to play. Even with Jimbo Fisher and his consistent 8-7 win teams, you didn't want to play in Kyle Field. So, new head coach for the Aggies, new quarterback for the Irish, who used to be Mike Elko's quarterback at Duke. Big move. Riley Leonard looked decent. I think he'll look better as the season goes on. But that defense was outstanding in a 23-13 win. And the score was more indicative of how good the defense was, with the offense truly just being patient and letting the game come to them. It was a fun game to watch. The fans were into it. Texas A&M never really felt completely out of it. You felt if they could just pop one play, and you were waiting for them to pop one play, that the game could switch, and it just never happened. It just never happened. The second game I want to look at, USC and LSU. This game frustrated every LSU fan and every fan that watches football. If you're a USC fan, you're like, this is why we have Lincoln Riley. Oh, give me a break. LSU had that game won. And Brian Kelly said it best in his post-game interview. We let up. They thought they had the win. They stopped playing sound football. And a 7-point lead turned into a 7-point loss in just over 5 minutes. How does that happen? You forgot you still have to play the game. You don't get anything for free in football. That's what the LSU players forgot. They're young. They're going to have to grow up. Well, this is going to be a really harsh reality to have to grow up with, because I know the coaches have ripped them already here. This is Wednesday. I know they've ripped them at least 2 of the 3 days this week already. They should not have lost. They had the game. They outplayed USC. USC got a gift of a game from LSU to be able to go 1-0 when they really did not look good. LSU looked much crisper on defense, much better on offense. They just looked better all the way around. And LSU threw it away. LSU threw it away. That was it. That was it. So, I don't know what to make of USC. Yeah, they're new. They got some new players. I don't trust their defense at all. I really don't. I do not trust their defense at all. Think their offense is, it's a Lincoln Riley led offense. There's only so much you can say. He's a good offensive coach. He's got good offensive game plans. Like, what else do you want me to say? That's the reality here. That's just the reality. So those are the two games. USC ends up winning 27-20. Notre Dame wins 23-13. So those are the college football. That's the small mini snapshot. For those of you looking at some, for those of you in the Midwest with our Big Ten Conference, just an FYI, due to LSU gifting USC a W, the only team that lost this weekend in the Big Ten is the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They're lost to North Carolina. They are currently the only team in the Big Ten with an L. They are 0-1, while the rest are 1-0. All right. So with college out of the way, we'll look ahead to some college games in this weekend's episode, as there will be 4. So it's Wednesday night for you now. Thursday night, we will have the season predictions podcast. That'll be Thursday. Friday, we'll be looking at some college, some fantasy, previewing the games up ahead. Then Saturday will be the picks for the weekend. So we will have 4 podcast episodes this week. And next week, we then start the 4, maybe 5, depending on whether or not I do the picks on Saturday or Sunday. It can vary week to week. But here we go. 4 podcasts a week, starting Tuesday nights. I'm ready to go with some football. So let's jump into this. This weekend, you're going to have a couple different matchups that could potentially be playoff matchups. The number one is the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the reigning champs. Again, they're opening the season again, And for me, I am hoping once again that, like last year, they forgot how to play on opening week. Here is, many are going to say this is a wild take. I don't believe that that team got any better in the offseason. I don't. Name me the area they got better. Remember, stagnant teams don't advance. If you're going to remain stagnant, perfect example, the Buffalo Bills, you will not advance. You have to advance. You have to improve. The Chiefs are older. I hear the narrative for the Niners. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. Okay. How about Chris Jones, Travis Kelce? A much older defense. Linebackers aren't that young. They lost a really good corner, their best corner, arguably. Lost their best corner and lost a couple backers to free agency. So tell me again why they're going to win it all. Why again are we trusting them to win it all automatically, or calling them the best team heading into the season? I don't see it. I'm not denying that when it comes to the playoffs, the veteran leadership, the experience that is on that team will help carry them. I'm not saying that's not true. But isn't that Patriot-esque? That's the Patriots. That was the New England Patriots for much of Tom Brady's career. Regular season was not where they were good. You just didn't want to play him in the playoffs. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, I believe, have their one. It's not necessarily a last hope, but it is. You've got Derrick Henry you just signed. To me, this is your best chance in the backfield to control everything. This is it. This is it. The backfield will be better. They had a couple young running backs last year. Gus Edwards did really good. Keaton Mitchell did really good. Listen, King Henry behind a solid offensive line. Very solid offensive line. I think Derrick Henry has a big year. I think Derrick Henry will completely revamp this offense. And it's for good reason. They will win. They will win often. I like them. I like Baltimore. You'll see in my season standings prediction tomorrow exactly how much I like them. But that is a potential playoff matchup. The second playoff matchup we have is Green Bay and Philadelphia. This takes place on Friday night in Brazil. This matchup, I don't think is going to be good this time like it will next time. If they were to play in the playoffs, I think it's going to be much better. I think this first one, opening week, it could be nice. but I don't think it's going to be great. But this is a matchup that in 18 weeks you could see again. 100%. 100% could see this again. So looking in the AFC again, there is, I think this game is actually going to matter more at the end of the year than it does right now. I believe the Chargers and Raiders game matters a lot, and I'll tell you why. I believe the loser of that game has no shot to make the playoffs. And you're probably going, hold it, week number 1 has no shot to make the playoffs. Yes, follow me on this. There is a very legitimate reality. Denver will be okay. The Raiders will be okay. The Chargers will be okay. I thought they were going to be good, but after looking at it, I think the jump is too much. I think Harbaugh year 2, give him another draft to be able to do stuff with, let him trade some pieces at the deadline, get some draft picks, get some capital as far as the salary cap is concerned. I think that will be kind of how this will roll about. They're really young at receiver. They do have somewhat of a hodgepodge at running back. I thought the Gus Edwards acquisition was awesome. J.K. Dobbins is kind of a plus. Justin Herbert, though, dealing with that plantar fascia does kind of concern me. I won't lie about it. It does kind of concern me. I think the first year, spoiler alert, I think the Chargers go 7-10. And I think it starts with a loss in week number 1 against the Raiders. I believe Herbert has a lot to learn. The offensive players are all brand new. I believe the Raiders are a little bit more set up to be able to open on the road with Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. I think the defensive line pressure will be better. I don't give anybody an advantage when it comes to the Chargers skill players versus the back 7 of the Raiders. I don't think there's an advantage there on either side. They're young for the Chargers, and they're not the greatest for the Raiders. I think the defensive line is the best avenue for the Raiders to win. I really think that's it. Rashawn Slater. They got, Joe Alt. The Charger offensive line will be very good next year. This year, game number 1, I think it kind of sets the tone. The Raiders are just a pinch better. Minshew can just be kind of ball control. Zamir White, Alexander Mattison. This game isn't a playoff matchup. It's a matchup that could implicate who can make the playoffs. But a playoff matchup that's happening on Sunday Night Football, the Rams versus the Lions, is a big matchup. Very big matchup. Offensively, this is not a different team than what the Lions played in the playoffs. Defensively, it is. Tre'Davious White, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse. This team is different. The attitude will be different. I love the Lions. I freaking adore the Rams. Week number 1 on Sunday Night Football in the Motor City, I'll give the W to the Lions most likely. The spread is so small, I'm not, this will not be one of Hawks pick six. It won't be. Okay? The thing is just too close. Numbers are too close. I'm going to try to avoid picking games that are 2 points or less. You're basically just playing pick 'em winners at that point. So, with that being said, that matchup could be another matchup, and it could be in the championship game. That could be a matchup we see 21 weeks later in the NFC Championship game. So there's 3 matchups for sure that we could see in the playoffs. One matchup that I believe has playoff implications in week number 1 based on the division they're in. But it all boils down to this. Football's back, baby. And it all boils down to 3 words. Just win, baby. Just win, baby. That's all you got to do. At the end of the day, that's all we want our teams to do. Whether you're a fan of the Cowboys, whether you're a fan of the Vikings, whether you're a fan of the Jets or the Giants or the Broncos or the Niners, whether you're in the heat of Florida, sweating it out with the Dolphins, in the tundra with the Green Bay Packers. You just want to win, baby. You just want to win. And we're going to start getting 0-0-0 turned into 0-1, 0-2, 1-0, 1-1. The records start changing because the games now matter. You can slip up early in an 18-game season, but every game counts. Some of these divisions could be decided by tiebreakers. If healthy, I could easily see the AFC North getting decided by a tiebreaker. I'm sorry. But the other reality is the NFC North could be by a tiebreaker. The NFC West could be by a tiebreaker. You got to win the games. If you don't win the games, come on, you don't got a shot. The first 4 weeks are going to be really important for a couple of teams. First 4 weeks. I'm going to give you those teams. The 4 teams I think week 1 through 4 matter for the most. It will set up their season based off of their schedule. Number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they go 1-3 in their first 4, my prediction of a 4-win, 5-win Steeler team will be correct. Your easiest part of your schedule is early in the season. You got 7 hard games to close out the year. They're number 1. Number 2, the Atlanta Falcons, oddly enough, play the Pittsburgh Steelers in week number 1. The Atlanta Falcons are believed to be the basically cream of the NFC South. The problem is that division is not very good. And most wonder if the Falcons, if in a different division, would have the same outcome. Probably not. of the 4 division winners, I would say them being 4th is probably accurate. But Raheem Morris, he learned a lot with the Bucs. He's learned a tremendous amount with the St. Louis or Los Angeles Rams. Can't believe I call them St. Louis. Jeez. Los Angeles Rams. He's a player's coach. I believe he works for what Atlanta needs. Atlanta needs to kind of reestablish the culture, reestablish the expectation within the building. And I believe he can do that early, quickly, and then move forward. I 100% believe he can do that. Another team where the first 4 weeks is going to matter most, I hate to say it, but it's the Indianapolis Colts. And they really, in the first 4 weeks, they got to go 2-2 at minimum. They have to. It doesn't make sense to start slow. If they get off to a rocky start, it's over. Jacksonville is too tough. Houston is going to, I believe, dominate this division outside of Jacksonville. They'll dominate the division. The Colts have to go 2-2 at minimum to stay relevant in the division all by itself. They've got a brutal middle stretch of the schedule, and I do mean brutal. But we'll see what happens, but they need a good start early. Absolutely need a good start early. The other team that I believe in the first 4 weeks it is most important for is the Dallas Cowboys. Is 2-2 good enough if the Eagles go 4-0 and Washington goes 2-2? If you go 2-2, is that going to work? Now, with the addition of Dalvin Cook, I will admit I gave them another win. And you may ask, why? Dalvin Cook's older. Yeah, but he ain't as old as Zeke, gosh darn it. Have you guys seen that video from training camp where Zeke ran through the poles and he was in pain? Now, if one of those poles got him between the legs, I could understand the grimacing. But come on. You've been doing that drill how long? You've been running through those things since when? And he was like, I don't even know. Looked like he was getting ready to cry. That's why I think he got hit. But I don't think Ezekiel Elliott has any, and I do mean any, resemblance of a running back that will be even first tier and not second tier. Maybe only third tier. It's just bad. So there you go. Quick little snapshot of the college football weekend. Quick little overview of some of the games that are taking place in week 1. Obviously, we will go through each game individually when we do the preview. Quick little scenario there. 4 teams that need to start out on the right side of the schedule, the right side of that record column, as fast as possible. Get on the winning side quickly. Just win. going to be really important. It will be vitally, vitally, vitally important to be able to get W's early for each one of those teams. If not, all four of those teams, there's going to be questions about the Falcons if they don't win early. There will be, because they should run away with that division. But the other three could be one of the worst seasons in Pittsburgh Steelers history. Could be a really bad year for the Colts, and a year that gets Mike McCarthy fired and Dak Prescott sent out of town for the Cowboys. And there you have it. Little bit of everything. Sports talk with Hawk, that's what it's supposed to be. I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited for the first full weekend with NFL and college both playing. I am pumped. I am super excited for what's about to take place this weekend. Looking forward to every second of football that I get to watch. Thank you guys so much for listening. Here on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button for the video, and ring the notification bell to get notified every time a podcast goes live, which starting this week is 4 times, sometimes 5 times a week if I have a topic. And I'm also going to try to do some instant reaction shorts on the channel. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Not sure what I need to do to make that happen, but we're going to try it. We're going to try some instant reaction shorts throughout the season. See if we can broaden a little bit off of what we have right now. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.